Okay. Welcome, everyone. Hi. Tonight we call our regular meeting to our opening ceremony, and we call to order this board meeting tonight, June 11th, our regular meeting. First of all, if anyone in the audience requires a headset for Spanish translation, please raise your hand and a device will be provided to you. Would you like to translate that?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Si alguien requiere de audífonos para su traducción, por favor avísenos. Gracias.
Thank you. So we welcome everyone here. Thank you for coming tonight, our audience members and our viewers online. And we thank you. And now we'll call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Board Member Espericueta.
Here.
Board Member Girardi.
Here.
Board Member Irvin.
Here.
Board Clerk Cornett. And Board President Jarrell.
Here. Thank you. Next, we'll stand for a Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Member or Clerk Karen Cornett, and then we'll remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll remain standing for a moment of silence, please, to be observed for Annette Bagnell. Annette Bagnell was hired with Palm Springs Unified School District in 2017. She dedicated 7 years as an English teacher to the district at Nellie Kaufman Middle School. Thank you. We'll be seated. Next, we'll continue with our mission statement, and it will be read by Board Clerk Cornett and then followed in Spanish by our board member Sergio Espericueta.
Thank you. All members of the Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and community to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with skills, capacities, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Thank you. According to our... I'm sorry, Mr. Espericueta, my apology.
Todos los miembros del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Palm Springs están unidos en nuestro compromiso con la equidad. Creamos oportunidades de aprendizaje profundas y significativas. Creamos profesionalismo e involucramos a los padres y a la comunidad para garantizar el éxito de todos los estudiantes. Todos los estudiantes se gradúan con las habilidades, capacidades y confianza necesaria para tener éxito en un mundo en cambio rápido.
Thank you so much. Next, 5E, our land acknowledgement will be read by Board Member Charlie Irvin.
The land acknowledgement. Palm Springs Unified School District acknowledged the Cahuilla as the original stewards of the land of which Palm Springs Unified School District facility now sits. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work with Indigenous people in this place. We pay our respects to the Cahuilla people, past, present, and emerging, who have been here since the time of immemorial.
Thank you so much. Well, look at number 6, the report of closed session actions. Clerk Cornett, are there any closed session actions to report?
There are no closed session items to report.
Thank you. Item 7, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next, the Board of Education would like to or wishes to recognize and commend the following parents for their involvement and engagement in school site activities and events. And we'll meet the parents down here in the front to give them their award of recognition. So I will be the first to recognize a parent from Cielo Vista Charter, Ms. Elizabeth Medina. Please come up. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Hi, congratulations. Nice to meet you. Do you want to go shake their hands? Okay. So this is to Miss Medina in recognition for her contributions to Palm Springs Unified School District through active participation as a parent, collaboration and involvement in Cielo Vista Charter activities, classes, and events during this past 23-24 school year. And we appreciate your hard work. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I just want to say that being part of Cielo Vista family brings us all together, and being a volunteer in everything that I can makes me feel so proud.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. You're going to stay here? Yeah. Okay, we're going to have some more come up and join you. Would you like to present the next one? Yeah. And now, the middle.
The next one is for Eduardo Medina.
Good job. Thank you.
Let me
There you
read
go.
it.
Gold medal.
In recognition of their contribution to the Palm Springs Unified School District through active participation, collaboration, and involvement in Cielo Vista Charter activities, classes, and events during the 2023-2024 school year. Congratulations, Eduardo. Want something to say? Family?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be part of it, and let's keep going. Let's keep working hard to make it happen, you know?
Thank you.
Did you want to present it? Oh, Charlie did. Charlie? Go ahead.
Next, we want to honor Laura Beth Hanley.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So Palm Springs Unified School District want to recognize your contributions to Palm Springs Unified School District through active participation, collaboration, and involvement in Cielo Vista Charter activity classes and events during the 2023-24 school year. Is there anybody or anything that you want to say?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to help. Cielo Vista is so much fun to work with. And it is my last year this next year, so I'm going to do my best to enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you.
Okay, one good
To
last.
do another one? Okay. Next one is Natalie Henley. Thank you, Natalie. Let me read that. Natalie Henley, in recognition of their contribution to Palm Springs Unified School District through active participation, collaboration, and involvement in Cielo Vista Charter activities, classes, and events during 2023-2024 school year. Congratulations. Thank you for your... Want anything to say?
Yeah. I just want to say that we're very happy and blessed to have a school like Cielo Vista Charter that has fantastic teachers and principals that really focus on the students, and we're grateful for the opportunity to give back to this school and the teachers and help them in any way that we can.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, next it would be public comments, and first we ask Clerk Cornett, have we received any email comments?
We have not received any email comments.
Okay, so next we look at in-person comments. Was there anyone that wanted to sign a speaker card and in person talk to us? Did you want to get a card from Ms. Borrego? Thank you, audience members who submitted a speaker card. And we'll call you up one by one, and all the comments are to be directed to the board and be under 3 minutes. Clerk Cornett will be the timekeeper and help us with that. And your comments shall be devoid of any personal attacks. And the members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. So board members, we do not respond to the public comments. We listen to you. And so we'll start with our first speaker. And we have Mr. Devin Griffin. Would you please come to the podium?
Well, I'm up here today because one of our dear security guards, Stefan Stagg, was thinking about being reassigned to Desert Springs Middle School. And I personally, well, me as a student, it's going to affect me a lot. I might be leaving, but what he's done for me these past 3 years have changed me significantly. I think he's made me a better person, and the way he helps the other students, especially like the special needs students, students with disabilities, he treats them with respect. He always talks to them, treats them like they're normal. I'm not saying they're not normal, but, and then he kindly gets the balls off the roof for us when we need to. He's always there for you. If you need advice or anything else with that matter, he's there to help. And then for what I've been through, he's the only black male security guard we've had. And I think that would affect the school. And then that's all I got. All right.
Would DeAndrea McCartney please come to the podium?
Hello. My son's taller than me. Okay. All right. To the board members of Palm Springs Unified School District, I am writing to you on behalf of the parents and guardians of students at Raymond Crean Middle School to express our deep concerns regarding the decision to reassign Mr. Stagg, our esteemed school security officer, to another school. Mr. Stagg's contribute to our school Mr. Stagg's contribution to our school are invaluable, and his presence is essential for maintaining the positive and exclusive culture we have cultivated. Mr. Staggs, being an African-American male, plays a crucial role not only in serving our entire school community, but also in acting as an advocate and ally for our black students. Raymond Crean Middle School has the highest percentage of African-American students among all middle schools in this district, with 9.5%, which is nearly double that of our schools in Desert Springs, and more than 4 times that of other middle schools in the vicinity. Removing a key staff member who effectively reaches this demographic could severely impact the positive school culture we have built. This year alone, we have had 0 incidents between students of color, both black and brown. This remarkable achievement can be attributed to Mr. Staggs' dedications and respect he commends from all the students, regardless of race or gender. His ability to communicate effectively with parents and families extend well beyond his job duties, showcasing his leadership and the love our families have for him. Mr. Staggs is also the first person we turn to when addressing the needs of our students from the Functional Life Skills Department. He has a unique gift and passion for working with students with disabilities, consistently de-escalating situations, engaging with students, and being a reliable presence they can trust. With 14.5% of our student population have disabilities, the highest percentage among all student, all middle schools. Losing Mr. Staggs would be a significant disservice to our community. Sorry, y'all, I'm nervous. Furthermore, Mr. Stagg tirelessly supports our therapeutic educational program, providing yet another layer of support for students in need. His ability to connect with students from diverse backgrounds and lifestyles and his unwavering commitment to their well-being make him irreplaceable. Okay. We, the parents and guardians of Raymond Creek Middle School, strongly urge you to reconsider the decision to reassign Mr. Staggs. His unique skills, devotion to students, and impact of our minority and special needs students are unmatched. Removing him from our school would disrupt the momentum we have built and hinder our ability to continue providing a safe and supportive environment for all students. Thank you.
Could Ms. Zuri Lowe please come to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate it. I've come to speak about first off, I'm a school counselor at Raymond Creek Middle School. I come to speak out about our safety officer, Stagg. Once we found out the information of him being moved, was very disheartening. I have been there for 3 years now, and I have seen the impact that he has made on our students. I've witnessed the ability that he has of lowering himself, bringing himself up to model himself for our students, and then also just really humble himself to be a service to our population. Removing him from that, like it was previously stated, we feel that it would very much disrupt everything that we've built and we've really, really focused on putting students first. So when we talk about inclusivity, we talk about being fair, we talk about having all the resources available for all students, and we talk about someone who is able to really, really touch and connect with our population. And we really feel that, and I really feel that removing him, it's just not the thing that's gonna be helpful for our students. With COVID that they have to deal with some of their home environments they have to go home to. School is their safe place. And I remember when I was a kid, I remember that I had an African-American campus supervisor. I still remember him. I still talk to him to this day. I'm not going to get into how long ago that was because it's irrelevant. But I still talk to him to this day. Very impactful. It's so important for our students of color to see people of color around them, people that they can relate to, people that are not, that they don't feel that that's judging them. And Stagg, that safety officer, has made sure that he is available for all of our students. Even the ones with special needs, he's there continuously, de-escalating them. Now that takes a skill set because he's intertwining from different levels, different grade levels, but he has that rapport. So I came just for you guys to reconsider or even maybe just bring it up because we feel that it will definitely impact us as a school. Thank you for your time.
Could we invite Natalu Edwards, please, to the podium?
Good afternoon, or evening, shall I say. My name is Natalie Edwards. I am a parent volunteer at Raymond Creek Middle School. And I come to you guys today in representation of some of the students as well as some of the other parents. I agree with what was said earlier about Officer Stagg. He's been there at that school. He's built a rapport with the students, and he is a representation of African American people, but inclusive of all others, and he's always there. And the only thing I need to say is that removing him from Raymond Cree would be an absolute disadvantage for all the children that are there now and the ones that are coming, because they're going to need him to kind of guide them in making sure that everything that's going on at the school, that they know that he's there for them and they can talk to him at any chance they get. I've known Staggs for a while, and I believe that him being at that school will provide all those services that the kids need. And that's pretty much what I have to say right now.
Next, Kwana Hall Beverly. Please come to the podium.
Hello, my name is Kwana Hall Beverly, and I've been volunteering at Raymond Cree Middle School with the goal of building a culture where students have positive role models to support them on their academic journey. Today, I'm here to advocate for the retention of Mr. Stefan Stagg, a security guard who is an instrumental and trusted member of the school team and the community. It is essential for students of color to have individuals who represent them and can provide culturally congruent support. Mr. Stagg is not just a security guard. He's a mentor, a role model, and a vital part of the support system at Raymond Cree Middle School. His presence is deeply valued by both the students and the staff. Stefan understands the unique challenges that our students face, particularly those from minority backgrounds. He provides a level of support driven by genuine care for their well-being, making him an irreplaceable asset. His ability to connect with students and offer them guidance and reassurance is something that cannot easily be replicated. The administration at Raymond Cree has worked tirelessly to change the school culture, making it more welcoming and supportive for all cultures. Removing Mr. Stagg would be a significant setback in these efforts. Our students are already facing the loss of an African-American instructor who has prioritized their well-being. Losing another crucial figure like Mr. Stagg would be detrimental to the progress we have made. I also want to emphasize that our community is rich with other qualified individuals who can model the same positive, engaging behaviors that Stefan exemplifies. We must be willing to invest in these community members, giving them the opportunity to step into roles where they can have a similar impact. By doing so, we ensure that our schools are staffed with individuals who understand and can relate to our students, fostering a supportive and inclusive environment across all schools. I urge you to reconsider the decision to move Mr. Stagg. Keeping him at Raymond Cree is not just about maintaining security, it is about preserving the supportive environment that he helps to foster. Let us continue to invest in resources that truly support our administration and, most importantly, our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next, Roberto López en español.
Buenas tardes. Gracias por darme el momento de hablar.
Un momentito. Un momento, por favor.
I'm going to do it both in Spanish and English. So.
You're going to do them both?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to start.
Good.
Buenas tardes. Más que nada, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk. Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad de hablar. Para la gente que nos está viendo en español, estoy aquí, soy consejero. My name is Mr. Lopez and Raymond Cree. I'm one of the school counselors. I work along with Mr. Lowe, who just talked. I just wanted to emphasize, you heard a lot of great things about Mr. Stagg. I think that's very, very clear. What I want to emphasize is the impact that he has made. So I want to ask anyone who came from Raymond Creek, do you mind standing up, please? This is summer. If it was not summer, I guarantee you the room will be full with people praising Mr. Stagg, making their comments about the impact that he has had in our school. So what I want to say is this year, we made tremendous improvement as a school, and school needs a team. Counselors, admin, security, even people from the cafeteria, custodians. This year we made an amazing improvement. We were celebrating the improvements that we made, both in attendance, about the violence, about anything related to the culture at Raymond Cree. We were celebrating, and we were so hopeful for next year, continue with the momentum and take it to the next level. That's what we were hoping for. And we feel like removing Mr. Stagg right at this moment is going to be a disservice, as it was mentioned many times before. It's going to be a disservice to our students. So I just want to please reconsider this. If you need his skills, I will say maybe he needs to coach, maybe he needs to mentor, maybe he needs to do a workshop for the other security officers so they can learn from him, so we can distribute his skills and his passion for students. So please reconsider removing Mr. Stagg. This is my first year as a school counselor. First year in education, and staff members like Mr. Stagg not only help the students, they help the families, but they also help fellow educators. He received me with open arms. He was always there for me. He guided me, even though his title is a security officer, right? But I saw him, how he talked to students, how, and as I was mentioned, he goes and get soccer balls. He will do anything besides his job duties to ensure that the school is functioning properly. So like I said, he is a great asset. I'm pretty sure everybody would love to have him, but at this moment, I will feel that it's a disservice to the school community at Raymond Cree and the momentum that we have going on. I would just wish, I want to continue this momentum for next year. So just consider that. Thank you so much for your time. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Have a good day.
Was there anyone else that wanted to bring up a speaker card that didn't have a chance? Okay, so thank you all for being here tonight with your comments. Next is number 10, presentation. Well, it should say presentations because we have 4 wonderful presentations tonight. First, we will start with Dr. Kovacs in Educational Services. Department updates for college and career readiness.
Good evening, everyone. Our Educational Services Department update topic is going to be around college and career readiness, and our director, Dr. Karen Dimmick, will be presenting some information with you and some exciting news about our plans for moving forward.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Signoret, and cabinet. I'm really fortunate to present this college and career update, and I'm going to just quickly make sure I'm on task. This is an action-packed 10-minute update, and I will be available for questions at the close of this presentation. I am excited to share that we had an eventful year, and as you can see from the picture, I'm very proud of our 15 CTE ambassadors who worked tirelessly to put forth a beautiful CTE showcase highlighting the culminating projects of all of our 13 programs in career technical education. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to our co-ambassador instructors who worked with them. And I just wanted to ask that you save the date for May 8th next year. We will be having our showcase again at the Palm Springs Air Museum. Also, I wanted to share with you that we have 13 programs in CTE. Specifically, we have a middle school program focusing on the digital media arts at Nellie Kaufman Middle School. We also have 5 California Partnership Academies. At Cathedral City High School, we have 2 that are California Distinguished CPAs. and that is Data and Heal. We also at Desert Hot Springs High School have our PSA Academy and Real Academy, also CPAs that follow a very specific model that cohorts students and supports them along the way. TV video pathway at Desert Hot Springs High School, and we have our business ABLE pathway at Palm Springs High. Film pathway, Palm Academy is another CPA, and our WAM, which is our welding pathway at Palm Springs as well. And last but certainly not least, we have our Rancho Mirage High School Culinary Cafe pathway, automotive race pathway, and technical theater TTEX pathway. Our students compete on a regional, state, and national level at career technical student organization competitions, and I am proud to showcase their hard work. This just captures some highlights of our student teams across the schools, and I'm also proud to share that we have all of these student groups that you see on the slide that are competing, traveling across our United States to compete at the end of this month at the national competitions. Last month, we worked together with about 60 stakeholders across college, career, business leaders, community, and teacher leaders, counseling staff across our district, grade level span, site, and district. And through this collaboration, we really looked at analyzing the district vision and mission belief statements and put them alongside essential skills for success in the career world supported by One Future. Really emphasizing the essential question of what do we want our students to be able to do as they travel through our district, college, career, and community. And by the end of this session, we were able to identify those essential skills. These are just some examples, also known as soft skills, but we like to call them essential skills. These skills are nurtured and embraced across every single grade level span in our district. And we like to look ahead and provide that support in the world of career and college. What you see here is labor market information data that really highlights the job outlook in our valley. The reason why I wanted to show this is the top half of the bullet points are the industry sectors that our 13 programs support. Anytime we are deepening the work with our CTE programs, we're looking at the LMI, the labor market information, and when we're looking to expand, we're also analyzing the labor market data as well. Specifically, as I speak, we have a med dosage class at CCHS that is a product of the K-16 Tri-District Healthcare Collaborative to build the LVN to RN pipeline in our valley. If you could see right there, that is a #1 need. We also are rebuilding our HVAC dual enrollment program at MSJ, and we are going to be elevating our business and culinary pathways so that students understand the hospitality management opportunities in this valley. I will, later on in this presentation, be talking about the concept of the CTE hub as it relates to ECE and ICT, Information Communication Technology. All to share that data is very important as we monitor and support the sustainability efforts and really reinforce the outcomes that are so essential for our students. Access is critical. Equity is at the forefront in offering programs at all comprehensive high schools, alternative education, and also our virtual academy. And we continue throughout our programs to integrate our course of study so that we are integrating real-world experiences with work-based learning opportunities as well. This is just a quick snapshot. Our department is predominantly funded by grants. So we have a few annually. I'm also very proud to share that we have been awarded 6 grants. I clicked submit on 6 grants, and we received those grants, all 6 of them, to the tune of $4.75 million for the next 4 years to support those existing pathways that align with the RFA of the grant. And this money supports the implementation of the new ICT cybersecurity pathway. All right, let me cut to the chase. I want to introduce to you the concept of the CTE hubs. As you know, a hub is the middle of a wheel with the spokes coming out, right? So when I talk about academies, we have 5 CPA academies. When I talk about pathways, you saw that in the earlier slide. The last piece is the hub is a centralized region that serves multiple students across our district, across schools. Specifically, next year we will be offering an early childhood education CTE hub, and that will be housed at Edward Winslow Education Center, serving Desert Hot Springs High School students as well. Students will earn stackable certifications and 12 early college credits so that they can pursue a career in ECE, and if they so choose, build upon those skills and certifications and study to be an elementary education teacher. At DLA, our virtual learning school, we will have the ICT CTE hub, and that will also be available to Palm Springs High School students right next door. They will study to earn industry certifications that are the integral part of earning entry-level jobs right out of high school in IT, and these certifications are essential for earning a job in cybersecurity. So, you've heard enough from me. I'm going to press play, and I'm going to show you a couple promo videos. Thank you. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, it was fun because I don't really like work with kids. But honestly, this is wish you can do it again? Or maybe we can.
So it's a dual enrollment program for high school students that are interested in early childhood or education, and just a great opportunity to be able to have a job as soon as they graduate from high school and do many great things with children.
Like, to me, this playground looks very small, looks very little, and it looks like there's only so much you can do, but they had very good minds, and they came up with a lot of stuff that we were able to do and play around and run around with.
For me, it doesn't feel like work when I get up every morning. I'm so excited I get to do so many things with kids. I get to laugh and read stories and dance and paint.
It was really fun to work with kids, to be honest, because I never really worked with kids. And it was really, I've been around my energy.
The dual enrollment program is designed for high school students to earn college credit through College of the Desert, and at the completion of that program will lead them to an associate's teacher permit in early childhood education.
You know, they had very creative minds. I played some games that I've never played before, and it's kind of cool to see like the development that kids have, you know, games and making up stuff.
I just think it's a great opportunity to get a head start on college education. I think out of everything, it's really a fun job. I love it. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else, and I would love to, show students, come on over, and see that it is a great way to start, a life.
And I forgot to mention that the goal is expansion after the first implementation year of next year, in that we will be offering the ICT opportunity to multiple schools, providing transportation the following year, and also an expansion effort in the Cathedral City region the subsequent year for ECE as well. And that concludes my presentation. All right.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
It's impressive what CTE and how it's grown in our district, and thank you to Ed Services. It's really important for our kids. It's another way to keep them involved in school, engaged in school, and really looking forward to adults and going out in the community and having really some practice in how it is to be in the world of grown-up world of working, actually working and seeing if that's what the path they want to take. So thank you very much, and thank you to Ed Services.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just have a question. Do we have, did I miss any like statistical information that that the career pathways that we have currently are showing that they're improving, or are they bringing any jobs to our kids after their, do you have any data for that, or did I miss that?
You know what? I am happy to share that data, and I can provide that data in a Friday letter, but we do compile data for the year and look at trend data as well. I know we're closing out our data for this school year, so at the end of June, we will be able to pull that robust data for you, and I can easily provide that.
And also too, so do we have, what is the criteria that we're using to decide what CTE programs we're using, and how often do we revisit that? And do we have any of those matrix or anything put in place right now?
Yes, on an annual basis, we have stakeholder meetings with industry, community partners. We also have awareness pieces with our family showcase and our 8th grade awareness to get the feedback, survey data as well, and in looking at the labor market data. So it's really a comprehensive process where we're getting feedback from a variety of stakeholders and then working with the site leadership as well.
Anything from our students?
Really, what you saw with the healthcare, that is recurring. It's a recurring trend as students are very much interested in healthcare, in business, wanting to start their own business, right? So one of the pieces we're going to do next year is really just work with our industry partners to show our students what those opportunities are available here in this valley. So part of that expansion is hospitality management, elevating what's available in this valley, a variety of management careers. And then off the top of my head, a lot of what you saw in the chart matches what the interest is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Go
ahead.
One more thing before you. Also, can we get a little bit more information on these information communication technology?
Oh, absolutely.
Just the video just rolling with information, but
I am happy to share
Yes.
information as it relates to ICT, and I would love to provide you with more detail.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Dimmick, and Dr. Kovacs knows me pretty well now. Just to build on what my colleague was saying, I mean, to monitor or measure the performance of these CTE programs, some of the benefits I've heard is, well, students go to school because they're in a cohort of like-minded people. Well, like data showing absentee rates for cohorts against the general population, graduation rates against the general population, because we put a lot of money into these programs, and I think it would be nice to get metrics like that to evaluate the true effectiveness of these programs. So, food for thought.
I think all these points are very important, and I am happy to share that data with you for this year and also the trend level data.
I have a short question about the capacity to get more students, or is they have more capacity to accept more students in all of this city, or is in the limit, and is more student apply, they have to wait, or?
That's a great question. We serve over 1,600 students in our CTE programs throughout our entire district, and some programs have a waiting list and a very specific process for interviewing. We have other programs that have open spots that really want to make sure that the students' interest aligns with what is being offered in the pathways. So, short answer is yes, we definitely have room. And for the ones that are impacted, we would like to create more opportunities for our students.
Well, thank you for all of this great information, and I'm so excited to hear about the ICT hub at DLA. That's really great with Palm Springs High School, and I'm hoping to hear that that hub will include artificial intelligence, engineering, like you said, cybersecurity, those things connected to our society as we speak. Because just yesterday, Apple came out with a new AI feature that is changing how we are going to be using AI. So for us to be on the cutting edge is amazing. Thank you. And then I go back to your number 4 projection employment area, construction. And with that, I link that to building and contractors licenses, and then I link that to real estate and property management, because our valley is just alive with growth. And if our students are able to be in that market and be here in the desert and able to afford housing, understand what loans are, understand what it takes to buy a house, and understand all about this area and how we are changing in the desert, I would like to see that perhaps come to life as well. You know, in your surveys and working with universities, engineering, Palm Springs Life said engineering is coming to the Cal State campus. So like pairing, I'm sure you pair with the universities and they're part of your stakeholders, right? But to see those additional industries where students are highly paid and able to like transition into getting a license, be able to participate in property management, doing those types of careers, that they are well prepared and ready to get into our desert markets. So have you explored any of those?
Yes, I would say the first piece is with ICT. It is really a multifaceted field. So AI will definitely be incorporated, and also just the labor market information, as far as you cannot get an IT entry-level position without the certification, right? And so we plan to offer these industry certifications, and then when students have the skill, they then can build upon that and attain the highest level, which is the cybersecurity. Real estate management is, like you brought up with the labor market data, something that is great to explore and have conversations. I think going back to the TK through 16 stakeholder meeting, we have developed relationships with our community college, our local universities, our business leaders, and obviously the partnerships where we're just a phone call away and brainstorming ideas. That is really powerful, and so we will explore that together, learning more about the programs they have to offer.
Yeah. And just a post note, your CTE showcase was just amazing at the Air Museum. You know, just 10 out of 10, your ambassadors, and the planners were students, and they were the leaders, and hearing them tell how they thought of the ideas was just phenomenal. Thank you for empowering them.
The power is with the students, so they did a phenomenal job, so thank you so much. All right, thank you.
And then Let's give her a hand. Yes, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, my goodness. And next we go to 10B, the foundation updates, and Dr. Kovacs will start.
Yes, so our director of the foundation, Ellen Goodman, will be sharing one of her quarterly reports for us this evening. Thank you, Ellen.
Karen, I was really impressed with your presentation. Mine's a little drier. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today, School Board, Madam President, Dr. Signoret, and Cabinet. So we'll cover our Q3 report, and I always put in our statement of purpose, charged as a 501c3 with providing a stream of external funds to schools within the district. The Foundation for Palm Springs Unified School District represents a public-private partnership dedicated to supplementing federal and state support of education. Working in collaboration with the Board of Education Superintendent, the Foundation helps to underwrite existing initiative and pilots new initiatives that are un or underfunded, builds visibility of the district's needs among community stakeholders and potential donors, and functions as the fiscal agent for external funds that come to the district, storing and providing fiduciary administration of such resources. So we'll start with our nums and figs, and this is unaudited. We submitted the presentation on May 28th, and so our accounting, $682,490 is cash in the door, 505 donations, 323 new donors, 182 returning donors. That's for an average donation of $1,351. Now, everyone's looking behind me. I thought I'd turn. One of the things that we are now adding to our internal reporting and documentation is something called pledged and promised. And so we've been working with our CPA firm around this. This year we did secure a bequest opportunity, which we presented to Ms. Nancy Coffey at one of our prior board meetings, and that pledge is $500,000. So if we take the 682, $490,000, and then we add the pledged and promised, which takes quite a bit of work and requires some energy, we have come out this year with a total of $1,182,490. These are our Q3 highlights. For our 24-25 budget year, our goal is $3 million over 3 years. For a placeholder, we divided that evenly across the 3 years and did $1 million for each year. We will have that breakdown for our board of directors to vote on for July 1st implementation. Board development and recruitment of new members. This is the season where we start to look for new board members. This was the first year that we advertised in the Palm Springs Post. We had a tremendous response. 10 individuals replied. 8 of them moved forward for the nomination process. And so you'll see up here we have 8 candidates that are moving into the ballot process, which will happen next week. As a result of the volume and the foundation's capacity to manage all of that, in addition to avoiding a large exodus when a term is up or a board member retires off, we are staggering those terms. And so we have 3 individuals for a 1-year term, 3 individuals for a 2-year term, and 2 individuals for a 3-year term. It will bring the total, I'm just saying I did put it up here. It would bring the total of board membership to 20. The other thing that we've been working on for our Q3 is our strategy committee. We base all of our work off of what we call a PARC framework, which is people, architecture, routines, and culture. And one of the items that we are going to be incorporating for the next 3 years is what we call acquire, convert, and maintain. So it's a 3-year strategy to acquire prospects, convert the prospects into donors, and then ultimately maintain their interest through connections and sharing impact. projects are Shoes for Students. At this particular time, wow, this looks like not the most current presentation. I apologize for, it looks a little wonky. This presentation is $18,204. We are actually over $30,000 as of today that we've raised for our Shoes for Students. Our goal is $50,000 to purchase 2,500 pair of Converse tennis shoes, which will be distributed to students in August. Measure J, gardens. We completed the Cielo Vista Charter Garden. There was a wonderful event on May 31st. The Palm Springs City Council, Measure J Commission. We had school board members, foundation board members. It was a wonderful afternoon, evening, and I think the Measure J commissioners were thrilled to go on a tour with the student ambassadors as they looked at all of the garden boxes and pulled out all the vegetables. The Western Wind Writers Contest, which is our 7th grade essay contest. 6 middle schools participated. It's really starting to catch on. In year 1, we started with 120 essays, and it has grown to 303 essays. And there's cash prizes for the students, $500 first place, $250 second place. They all get a Kindle for the winners, $100 download card, and an event t-shirt. And every student that participated received an event t-shirt. It is grant season, and these are the following grants that we are submitting. A few more have come down the pike in the last week. So Anderson Children's Foundation, I'm very happy to say we were awarded money for our Shoes for Student campaign for our 24-25 school year, and that came through. We have already submitted the City of Palm Springs special events and grants application, and that is divided between Shoes for Students and One Night Out Rio. We will also be submitting to the City of Palm Springs the Measure J Commission an infrastructure request, which will be the sound upgrade at the Richards at Palm Springs High School. Western Wind Foundation, Helen Grace Spearman Foundation, Bighorn Cares, and Williams and Holmes Trust. Our wellness centers, these are the list of wellness centers that are established. We've just finished Bubbling Wells Elementary School. We're starting on Della Lindley Elementary. We will be squeezing Desert Hot Springs High School in August to provide them with a upgrade to their Tier 1 area. And so that will happen. And then we will start on Vista Del Monte and the Palm Springs schools. And while we're on wellness centers, I just wanted to share some data that I was in a meeting today with our software company, Vitrek. So this is the information that we have to date. This is for the month of May. There is an average of 23 minutes that students are spending at our wellness centers. And in this pilot is Rancho Mirage High School, Desert Hot Springs High School, and Nellie Kaufman Middle School. 43% of our students are spending time for quiet time. 18% are meeting with counselors. 8% are there to talk with friends. 6% feel tired. 5% feel anxious. 5% of our students that visit the Wellness Center feel frustrated. 2% are there for family issues. And then there's 10% for others. And we're still drilling down to understand what that others is. 87% of the students say that they feel better after they have visited the Wellness Center, and that's up. It was first 84%, 86, and then 87. There is a facial scan when students register to go into the Wellness Center, and basically that detects heart rate, oxygen in the blood, respiratory rate, blood pressure, and aggregating all of that together determines what stress levels are. And then there are what they call alerts, pretty much like a stop sign, a traffic light, red, green, and yellow. And they're out of 1,152 visits in those 3 centers. There were 5,760 alerts. So it's about 10% of those visits. And that is where we can possibly increase billable hours. And so that is the connection between behavioral and our health sciences, our health. So we're very optimistic about that. These are just some highlights. You'll see some photos of the school garden, Shoes for Students. We are now in the process of plaque dedications at our wellness centers. We were at Nellie Kaufman and our 7th grade essay contest. All of this is in addition to managing fundraising and fiscal management of One Night Out, classroom grants, smart mentoring, musical theater university support, named and memorial scholarships, and ongoing foundation initiatives. Please save the date, October 5th. It's Carnival, One Night Out Rio. Is mine 10 minutes? How did I do? Okay, any questions, comments, thoughts?
A quick question. Do we know what percentage of students take advantage of the wellness center? So if like a school's got 400 students, what percentage? Do we have that information?
We can get that. We don't have it broken down by percentage. And then my question is, duplicate or unduplicated? Because we have students who might go in like 5 times.
Maybe both, if you got it.
Yep, we have that. I can get that to you.
That'd be great, thanks.
I'm back on slide 5, and the 7th grade essay contest. We have 7 middle schools. DLA has middle school, and DLA doesn't have a wellness center. And are they in the works to participate and be in the group that will be developed?
I did not know about the DLA and 7th grade and essay, so they absolutely should be included. We'll make sure that that happens. So our apologies for that oversight. And yes, they are on the roster for a wellness center, as is MSJ and Edward Winslow. It's just right now we did pause a bit on the funding. It never sounds good to say we paused on funding, but we are holding funds from other funders for wellness centers that are not established yet. And instead of just keep collecting the money and having it sit there, they are in a phase 3. And wellness centers was always a 3-phase rollout. And some of that was economics, and the other was not every school's ready for a wellness center. They might not have the space or the staff. And so the schools that you might not see listed or you haven't heard about, they are in phase 3.
Thank you. I'm going to advocate for them. This might be a small population, but a population that might be in great need.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I know all about the needs there, just to be inclusive and help them find space and be, able to access similar types of services. And the other thing I think I mentioned to you, I don't mean to complicate your contest, and I want to be there next year for the awards for sure, but I would love to see it in Spanish too. And I know that there's teachers that would help perhaps to grade or to mark, to get involved and in the contest, and maybe might have to open it to 8th grade, 7, 8. I don't know, for Spanish.
Right.
You might have to curtail, differentiate it. So, but that would be.
Okay, I'll work with
Dream.
Dr.
Could be a
Kovac
dream.
and see what we need to do to make sure that you're talking about basically a second track, one that is a Spanish track.
Yeah,
Yes.
the essay would be an essay contest in Spanish.
Yes, I understand.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything, and I'm excited to see the shoe giveaway. I want to be there. Invite us.
That'll be in August. We're working with student services. As soon as we have a date, it'll be on everybody's calendar.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then we have our next 10C, Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP. Dr. Kovacs.
Yes, so this evening we have our Director of State and Federal Programs, Dr. Jim Pfeffer. It's that time of year where we review our annual LCAP. However, this is for 24-25, and it's our 3-year LCAP. So I'm just going to hand it over to Dr. Pfeffer.
And good evening. Hopefully, Ms. Goodman's comment about it being a little bit drier as the presentation goes on isn't true, although I can find very few things more exciting than talking about the LCAP for a few minutes. And I'm sure that Mr. Simmons' budget presentation will equally raise the excitement level across the room for everybody. No pressure, Jeff. So again, thank you, everybody. Glad to be here this evening. As Dr. Kovac framed it, we're here today to present the 24-25 version of the Local Control Accountability Plan. This does start a new 3-year cycle for the plan. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through our presentation. So we have a new template. We have some new pieces to the puzzle that we have to put into place as part of the very light 240 pages or so of reading in the full plan document. I'm going to, just given the time that we have, I'm going to be going through some of this information fairly quickly. I will pause at multiple points to ask for specific questions, but I do encourage the board to feel free to ask me to pause if something needs clarification along the way. As I've mentioned, this is starting out a new 3-year cycle. So this plan document in its main structure will go from 24-25 through the 26-27 school year. Each year there'll be a renewal process. We'll be coming back to you around this time each year to talk about those changes. And this year there's a supplemental annual update component in the plan. Every time we do a new 3-year structure, there are new aspects to the plan. I'm pleased to say in our initial review with Riverside County Office of Education, our plan came through that review with flying colors. In fact, with requests from Riverside County Office to use some of our plan language and structures as examples for other districts within the county to be able to do their plan documents more effectively. As always, we bring this forward in 2 separate meetings. The presentation will be today, and June 30th will be brought back to you, before June 30th, in our case, June 25th. It'll be brought back for approval at that time. So as part of the LCAP each year, we have a direct tie back to the California School Dashboard, a quick recap of where the district stands as part of those items, because we need to address these pieces in our plan. Our district was identified for differentiated assistance on the fall 2023 dashboard for 4 different student groups. They are English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, and African American students. Please note that's an improvement from the prior year where our American Indian student group had been identified. Their performance increased sufficiently to be able to come off of that differentiated assistance list, which was great to see, and we're hoping to see more groups come off as we move forward over these next couple of years. We also had 5 schools that qualified for comprehensive support and improvement, known as CSI, across the dashboard. Those schools are listed on the slide. And 15 schools in some form of additional targeted support and improvement for individual student groups. The needs of those student groups are addressed both in the LCAP and in school SIPSAs, which again will be coming to you soon, in order to improve outcomes for all students and those student groups showing the most need. Yes. Great question. Differentiated assistance applies to the district. There are no extra funds that come with differentiated assistance. We simply need to address the needs of those groups with existing funding. Comprehensive support and improvement, CSI, does come with additional federal style dollars. Within the school plan document, they account for those dollars and work collaboratively with educational services to develop plans for how to use those on new initiatives for school improvement. ATSI at the bottom there, which is specific to student groups, does not come with additional funding, but it does come with a requirement to address those student group needs within the school plan documents. Sure.
And schools cannot be in both groups. They're either CSI or ATSI.
That's correct. It's one designation or the other, or no designation at all. Those would be the 3 options. Soon there will be an intermediary designation called TSI. We'll address that when the time comes. Yeah. No, that one doesn't come with funds either. No. So a brief review over the sections of the 24-25 LCAP. We're not going to go into detail in every section of the plan, but the plan documents are loaded onto the agenda for reference. It starts out with a budget overview for parents that just gives a very brief snapshot as to the funds that are discussed within the plan and the approximate amounts. The annual update, as I've already referenced, speaks about the 23-24 year as a whole, what our action implementation looked like, how much our budgets shifted across those actions, and talks a little bit about some of those outcomes. Clearly, we're still waiting for some end-of-year outcomes. Those data points are being processed currently. They get spoken to in the next year's plan. We also have sections regarding our plan summary, engaging our educational partners for input. Again, something that we received some kudos for in our initial review with the county. Our goals and actions, which details what we're going to be doing moving forward. This year we have 5 total goals, and we'll touch on those momentarily. Increase and improve services, which speaks to how the actions address the needs as identified through the needs assessment process. The action tables lay out the financial information, and the instructions are there for reference purposes on how the document should be completed for public reference. So you can see it's pretty comprehensive. I'm going to be spending the time in the 24-25 section of the plan as part of our discussion here this evening. Those plan summary components really start with general information about the district. And then in what's called the reflections section, we lay out those groups that we've been identified for improvement metrics for. And so within those sections, you'll see a list of all student groups where differentiated assistance is applied, any schools that have a red performance level from the dashboard of any variety, and any student groups, whether it's at the district level or at the school level, that also has a red indicator group. We then speak a bit to how we're going to address their needs, talk a little bit about the needs assessment data. There are also specific prompts about how we support our comprehensive support and improvement, our CSI schools, and how we'll be looking to support those schools through the next year in attempting to improve outcomes as quickly as possible. Again, that's followed by the Engaging Educational Partners section. This section looks very different in the new plan as we're asked to specifically talk about how we engage partners. Once again, we cast a very wide net in our district for input, all the way from large-scale surveys that you see in the far right section, consulting with the local SEPA, and having specific conversations around equity multiplier funding, something I'll come back to very specific groups, whether it's a parent-initiated group, district teams, or student group teams. We cast a very wide variety of input in order to get as big of a pool of information from our community as we can. A change that will be coming for next year's plan, you see we still will do some check-ins with our high schools, but a new student advisory committee is now required starting next school year. So we'll be assembling a group of students who will meet a handful of times through the year, similar to the way our district advisory team and our LCAP parent ambassadors do, in order to hear from the students multiple times about what's working from LCAP actions and what their input is moving forward, in addition to our one stop at each one of our comprehensive high schools to get our random sample. Again, this was acknowledged by the county in their initial review as being pretty exemplary. We again, meet with a lot of different groups over the years, and they see that as a positive aspect of our plan. Our goals are basically staying the same in base language. Our organization has been pretty clear to our parent groups and to our community, so we've decided not to alter too much what the goal structure is. To give the brief descriptions, goal 1 is all about academics, looking to complete good course sequences to provide opportunities post-high school, whether that's a college pathway or a career pathway of the student's choice. Goal 2 is focused on parent and community engagement, looking at aspects where we can attempt to engage our educational partners in two-way communication that helps to build positive outcomes for students. And finally, goal 3 is our safe and healthy schools goal. This is where things like security, mental health, counseling, support systems all come into play in order to provide the parts of school that are not directly tied to the academic components. That combination of goals really does a nice job in giving us a well-rounded approach. And then within each one of those goals, we have actions that we'll start to go through momentarily.
So the last time we wrote these goals, where it was 3 years ago, and have we modified them? I know it's a living document, right?
Yeah, the goal statements have not been modified much. We've reviewed them with our groups. The content of the actions within the goal has been modified quite a bit. So there's different focuses for some actions. Some actions have been completely rewritten. There's been some new attributes put into actions in order to make them more effective. But the overarching goal statements were found to pretty much meet the needs of the groups, and so we've actually maintained most of that language just in the goal statements alone.
And so the goal targets are embedded in each of those.
Correct. Each one has metrics specific to that goal area that we track, not only to see if actions are effective, but if the goal overall is effective. And you'll see within the main plan document, each one of those goals has a section that lists out very clearly which supporting metrics there are to move in that area.
So the stakeholders were gathered together, and this is what was formed 3 years ago.
This is the language that was formed 3 years ago for the plan, for the goal language, just the big overarching statement. Clearly more detail within the actions has changed tremendously. Yeah.
Thank you.
New this year are goals related to what's called equity multiplier funding. This is a new level of funding coming from the state level that requires goals in the district plan that address school needs for those schools that qualify for these funds. These funds are awarded off of two different statistical pieces. One is the percentage of students eligible for free and reduced lunch. The other is what's called the non-stable student percentage, basically the percentage of students that don't spend at least 235 consecutive calendar days enrolled at the school site. In Palm Springs Unified, the two schools that qualify for that are Mount San Jacinto and Desert Learning Academy. So those two schools are receiving additional funds where they need to address their biggest needs as identified on the dashboard. Those are listed on the slide. So each school has actions within their goal, their equity multiplier goal, in order to address those items using funds specific for that purpose. So in a moment, I'm going to dive into some of the actions within each of the goals, but let me pause for a moment and see if there are any other questions from the board right now, just in the brief overview. Okay, great. So we're going to take a moment and dive into some actions within each goal. Instead of walking through every single action in the slide deck, I'm going to pull out a few just to highlight. But I did take an opportunity at the beginning of each goal to list out all of the actions that are embedded. So as you can see, there are 21 total actions within Goal 1 about academics. It is our biggest and broadest goal of the bunch in order to move the needle across many different academic areas. This is everything from ELA and math performance to graduation rates, college and career indicators is included in here, as well as things like performance on the AP tests or third grade reading scores as an example. You can see there's a wide variety of different supports and pieces that are brought into these plans. An example is Action 1.5, which is the academic side of our multi-tiered systems of support, where we're providing many layers of intervention. This action is also a good example of how multiple funding sources come together to create a large program. This action, combined with an action that we'll see in Goal 3, really make a well-rounded intervention structure and an approach to addressing student needs. And as you can see in the funding section, we're using some LCFF dollars, which is normally what's reported in the plan, along with federal funds, and also other state funding, in this case, a lot of it coming from the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, to address needs in improving English language arts and mathematics. So a wide variety of different pieces where we're monitoring students and addressing individual student needs to increase performance. Another example of actions within Goal 1 include one of our new required actions for long-term English learners. This is new to all district plans in 24-25, where we're required now not only to have actions for our English learner group, but for those English learners who have not reclassified over the course of 7 years. And so we have some initial actions there in order to address their needs, mostly funded through Title III, but some additional funds as well coming from the LCAP. We know that the dual immersion program expansion is on its way, and so we have some additional funds in that department to be able to expand both to the high school level and to begin that second pathway up in Desert Hot Springs, which will be great for that particular program. We wanted to take a moment to highlight those efforts. Also in Goal 1, we have some actions that don't even use LCFF funding. These are items that are, the first one, expanded learning programs, which does our after school and programming during the school breaks, is a great example of something that we hear from our parents and our community that is of great need. Students need a safe place to be at the after school time, they need a safe place to be during breaks, and we're able to provide a wide variety of resources through that plan. But it's not funded through the LCAP funds, it's funded through the expanded learning funding sources, of which there are a couple. So we include it to show our community that we are addressing those needs and addressing those requests but showing that the funding is coming from additional resources. Also, we have actions specific to technical assistance related to differentiated assistance student groups. In this case, we've included an action that speaks to some of the work that we've done with Riverside County Office of Education, specifically around the use of our literacy coach and reading specialist grant, as well as working on our A through G rate improvement through some of the work that's gone on with our secondary C&I department. Again, this is another good example of where some of those technical assistance pieces are actually getting funded out of other locations, but directly addressing the needs of our student groups as required within the plan. So those are some sample actions in our academic segment. Goal 2, we've really just done sort of a restructure of the plan to make it a little bit clearer in Goal 2. We've moved our communication group and our our diversity and racial equity group into their own actions, so we can show what actions that we're doing with those groups separately from what our Family Engagement Center is doing. And so now it's a little bit more clear in the plan structure as to the roles of those different groups and how they support engagement across our parent groups and our entire community. We're pleased to say that we're continuing to receive very positive input regarding the efforts of these teams and look forward to continuing to see their success moving forward. Goal 3, again, covering items in the school setting that are not directly academically based, but certainly supportive of student outcomes. You can see here we have 14 different actions now in Goal 3, ranging from counseling support to targeted items for chronic absenteeism, to specific items related to supporting foster youth or security. Some of the highlighted actions here, as I said with Goal 1, here's the other half of our MTSS model that's supporting behavioral and social emotional needs. Again, noting the expenses coming from multiple different funding sources. So when you take the approximately $5 million out of 1.5, the approximately $4 million out of 3.6 and put them together, our entire intervention package as it relates to our MTSS model is close to $9 million in total funding across multiple resources. So again, looking to provide structures and systems that support the whole child as part of improving outcomes.
Dr. Pfeffer, I have a question. When, you know, in the old information mentioned the English learner group, the foster youth, but also low income.
Correct.
But low income is almost the total population of the student, almost 100% of the student, 97%, that is a low income category in the school district.
About 97% is unduplicated. It's a little lower than that for low income.
How the plans protect the small groups, like English learning, for example, to don't dilute the money in the entire, I know that the whole qualify for support, but how the school district focus or emphasis in the small group like English learner, foster youth, African American?
Sure, let me give you a couple of examples. So we have actions like our MTSS actions that are very widespread, cover a lot of different students that within those umbrellas. In this case, it targets down to individual student needs. So the customized supports that they get are done by the individual students. Other actions in the plan are very specific to student groups. For instance, actions 1.6 and 1.7 are targeted solely at English learners with some additional programs that are supporting their specific needs. In Goal 3, we also have an action over here with a foster youth community liaison, 3.3, that specifically targets the needs of foster youth students as well. So when it comes to program groups, foster youth, English learners, we have specific actions. When it comes to some of our other demographic groups, such as race, ethnicity, those types of things, we look to tailor needs in order to meet what comes up as surfacing as needs for those particular groups. So we have to be a little bit careful in those contexts because of the Attorney General's statement that came out not long ago about the way that goals and funds can be used as it relates to LCAP funds specific to race ethnicity groups. However, those needs are analyzed and there are supports built into the actions to help address some of those needs along the way. Really, the idea is that not everybody's getting the same thing. Because the action is coming across the whole district, there is differentiation as to what they can access based on what they're showing as needs. I don't know, Dr. Kovac, if we want to speak to anything additional from a programmatic side. Sorry to kind of spring that on you, but.
No, that was comprehensive, but I also want you to highlight the metrics that we use to monitor progress. Like we have our STAR platform, if you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the metric set, we also track pretty much every student group. So when it comes to the STAR, to give an example, those are our English language arts and mathematics tests that are given regularly throughout the district. Those are looked at as the whole group and also broken out by each individual student group to see what those student group needs are so we can make adjustments. All of our other actions are looked at similarly, whether it's absenteeism rates, whether it's suspension rates, whether it's English learner performance on the LPAC, or any of the other metrics you'll see in the plan. When you look at that metrics table, you'll notice each one of the student groups is broken out so that we can track and make sure what we're doing is working for them as well. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. So we've highlighted a little bit about the MTSS side for social emotional needs and behavior support. Other items that we've pulled out are school social workers. You did not see those in Goal 2 as you had in previous years because they've been moved over here to Goal 3. They still provide substantial supports, but really a lot of their work is targeting chronic absenteeism, which is better addressed in Goal 3. So they shifted locations as part of making sure that they were focused in the right space. Another example of an action that really is targeting improvement, our prevention specialist group really looks at addressing chronic absenteeism needs across the district. So they've been put out as their own action as an example of something that we're doing to directly address one of our biggest areas of improvement, which would be chronic absenteeism. Any other questions on, let me touch on one more thing before I pause for questions. Within our actions, some of them have been identified specifically to address the needs of differentiated assistance group. That list is on slide 17 here. Not every action is designed to address specific small group needs, as we've just gone through. Some of them are a bit wider and tailored in. These items have components in them that have been shown over time in Palm Springs Unified to be effective for some of these groups, whether it's in previous accountability models or in seeing improvements in outcomes. And so they've been identified in the plan as helping to target the needs of those groups identified for support at the district level. Please note that part of this as well is being addressed at each school plan level where they're also addressing those groups that have needs. So before I move on to goals 4 and 5, let me pause there. Are there any other questions on the basic overall big district action components from goals 1 through 3?
I think you mentioned chronic absenteeism.
Yes.
And over the course of this past school year, and maybe before that, we've been hearing that as a great need across the state, across the districts. Are we seeing improvement? And we're having, everyone work together on this and parent engagement. Are we seeing improvements then?
Yeah, it's been a focal item for our district for sure, as it has for many districts across the state. We're seeing improvements. It's been part of multiple different discussion structures. It was certainly a focal point, especially with our LCAP parent group when we were talking about goal 3 items. They were taken aback a bit by some of the rates and really coming up with some creative items of how we could help to address some of those needs from their perspective. We have been seeing some improvement, some rates overall. I'm sure we can put together some data on that to give you an update as to where some of those things are looking at local calculations. Again, it'll be those official dashboard calculations at the back end that'll show the big gains, but we can certainly put some information together about where we are currently.
I'm just glad to hear that we're seeing improvement because that was like a critical, having kids in their seats, critical need.
And I would say that'll still be an ongoing need. Those rates are probably higher than they were at our lowest point, if you will, but certainly on the correct trajectory. Goal 4 and goal 5, as I mentioned before, are specific to schools. So we've listed here what their actions are. In their cases, these actions are actually multi-year actions. So they'll be getting started here in 24-25 and supporting both of these schools through either 25-26 or all the way through 26-27. As we continue to watch what happens with the equity multiplier in the state budgetary process, we'll see how much additional funding comes to these school sites and other school sites that may qualify for those funds, and we'll address those needs as we go. But we'll be starting with these tailored actions, again, that address those areas of performance that the dashboard showed were priorities for each one of our schools. Following our actions.
Quick question.
Oh, sorry.
real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
Can you go back to that slide?
Certainly.
Is there a certain reason why some of these are not duplicated? Are they just some are assigned to DLA and some are assigned to MSJ?
Yeah, in each
there a reason
case,
for that?
in each case for these goals, we have to address the specific needs of each of the schools. So you'll notice that the first action is duplicated for both schools. What that's allowing us to do is add additional funds to those schools to add to their Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools funds, so they don't have to share their new arts, dance, theater teacher, whichever one of the arts teachers they're adding. They can have their own, expands course sections, gives more options for students to be able to take different classes. You'll note that on the MSJ side, we do things like dual enrollment and looking at alternative education, professional development. Those are specific aspects to the program at Mount San Jacinto that need some improvement or could use some additional support. Desert Learning Academy has more of a focus on mathematics, which was the weaker point in their dashboard. And so that's why we have that course expansion and additional intervention specifically targeting mathematics over at Desert Learning Academy using these additional funds.
And the professional development?
Similarly, when it comes to professional development, it'll be targeting the specific pieces in the case of MSJ that are showing through evidence-based processes that they're effective for students in the alternative education setting, the types of programs that Mount San Jacinto runs. Any professional development that's tied over on the Desert Learning Academy side, most through these funds, will mostly focus on mathematics or improving their multi-system of support system within the school site itself.
And so that is something that you've seen, or a trend that the school said that they need to be strengthened?
Correct. Yeah, we did a needs assessment process with each of these schools where we looked at their data, we held staff meetings, we held parent meetings, we talked to students as part of their school plan development, culled that information together, saw what they were addressing in the school plan, used this equity multiplier to then add a layer on top of that, which is the intent.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly. The next segment is another part of the plan that's been restructured for the LCAP. This is the increase in improved services piece. I've given you action 3.6 as an example of the outlay for this. This is where we actually turned out to be working a bit ahead because we've been using a structure similar to this for a number of years now, and now the state has moved to a template that everybody is following this type of model. Where they're showing it across these three different columns, identifying the needs and the supports necessary, showing how our actions are supporting students across district-wide or across school-wide levels, and then the specific metrics that'll be used to monitor that specific action. So we spoke before when Board President Jarrell asked the question about metrics, that each goal has those layered metrics. Within our increase and improved services, you can see even which metrics we've tied to some of those specific actions to monitor that they're being impactful. Again, I've picked one of our wider ones with the MTSS structure just as an example, but each one of the actions within that section will outline these same things. Finally, we have the action tables, which is the financial components of the plan. This is showing how much funding is dedicated to each one of our actions and across the plan document. It shows a summary of the budget changes over the course of the 23-24 year and the opening budget structures for 24-25 within the LCAP itself. So we have a quick budget summary of what's in the LCAP. Again, we've had additional funds that we're now showing in the LCAP for various actions. We have approximately $95.47 million in different LCAP expenditures, slightly above what's only in supplemental and concentration. We've brought in some non-supplemental and concentration LCFF funds into the plan. A little over $7 million in various federal funding pieces are donated, and another $30 million in change of different other funding sources that are also reported, such as those equity multiplier funds, learning recovery grant, the literacy coaches and reading specialist grant. So the total amount that you'll see within the plan is a little over $133 million within our LCAP. Pretty expansive, pretty wide covering a lot of different funds that we'll be reporting out again and saying how we're doing in the report next year when we're talking about those annual updates related to our actions. Also within the plan slide deck, we have our Cielo Vista actions. They've provided us with an outlay of their particular actions and their organization of their plan, along with their funding sources. They use a four-goal model as it relates to their particular plans, covering very similar topics where they're looking at academics, community engagement, safe and healthy schools, etc. And their outlay looks similar to what you see here, where their total LCAP reaches about $4.5 million worth of additional programs. That's what I have to share with you to present. Both full LCAPs are also linked to the agenda item. The public hearing will follow here pretty shortly after Mr. Simmons' budget presentation. And then again, we will be bringing this back at our next board meeting for plan approval on the 25th. But before I cede the podium, are there any further questions from the board at this time?
I don't have a question. Well, maybe it's a question. We'll see how I phrase it. So we're going to spend $133 million. I expect we're going to see some improvement with our foster youth, our English learners, and our low-income students.
They are being prioritized as part of this plan, yes. That's the function of the LCAP.
I'll say it again. We're spending $133 million. I would expect we're going to see improvement in these areas.
I heard the non-question, Mr. Girardi, yes. Yes.
African American as well.
We will be monitoring that very closely, sir. I assure you.
Okay, so we have been hearing about so many people writing grants all along the year and all throughout the departments and you today. Who is writing the grants? Do we have people that are specifically designated to help, do that grant writing? Because you have to be precise, you have to have all those specifics. Do directors, how does that work?
It's a bit of a divide and conquer structure, to be honest with you. Student services staff has been very successful at accessing a variety of grant. Laura Musel and her team have done a great job of bringing in attributes and writing grants. You've heard Dr. Dimmick in our CTE and college readiness group. State and federal has also helped write a few grants along the way. We've picked up things like the teacher residency program. The first grant for that came out of our office, as well as the anti-biased education grant, which was a highly competitive grant within the state that we also access. So in a lot of cases, it falls upon the expertises of the teams that the grants apply to, and then we're always willing to support from data and programmatic side. Dr. Kovach, again, not to spring anything on you, but is there anything I missed as part of that response?
We have a very well-rounded group in educational services. Anyone who needs assistance with grant writing will step up and help. But no, everyone, as he said, Laura's department, Karen with her grants, as Jim identified the other grants, we're always looking to ensure that there's a sustainability in our program, so we always look for additional support if we can. And we've been very, grateful the fact that those grants have been funded for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, all the grant writers and all of the people, because this is a lot of funding for our kids, and that's the bottom line, that you're bringing more to our kids and to help support them advance. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Dr. Pfeffer. Okay, next will be our presentation from Jeff Simmons, and he'll present the 2024-25 adopted budget.
Okay, Jeff.
Just play a little game of guess who. I didn't think I had enough room to put the names there, but I probably should have. But I figured it would be a nice little comment. All right, you ready for the grand finale now? The fourth presentation of the night. Everybody excited? I'm going to take a little Dr. Kovac said it's that time of year, so we are into these presentations. I got to present the adopted budget to you. Besides the adopted budget, you were already sent the actual full SACS report, but in that SACS report we included a summary report for you, so it's a little bit easier read for you for the presentation. And plus this will be posted as well as the presentation, so hopefully for you and the public we've made it pretty easy to understand the budget. So I'm going to take a little page from Dr. Dimick, and this is going to be an action-packed 30-minute presentation. Not 10, sorry, not 10. I can't do 10, but we'll go as fast as we can. But before the clock even starts, I want to thank Tony Carrillo, who actually, and his fiscal team and payroll team who put all this together. And really a budget can't be done without the rest of the groups. So I want to thank Dr. Kovac and Ed Services and Clayton Hill and Human Resources and all your teams, because this takes a few months to put this together, and then we bring it all together for you in June to quickly go over it now and then approve it in 2 weeks. And then, as the year goes on, we revise it and keep coming back to you. So don't be scared that this is, that these are, actual numbers. These are projections that we're going over, and it's an adopted budget, but it can always be revised and is revised throughout the year and changed. So we will be asking you to approve this adopted budget with particular conditions as we go along. So where's the thing? The what? Like that? Oh, perfect. All right. So as we go through this, I heard very clearly last year as I was sitting in one of these seats from Mr. Irving. Oh, you can start the clock down. Not the 3 minutes, the 30 minutes, not the 3 minutes. I heard from Mr. Irving last year very clearly when he was talking to Dr. Murray. It says, is your friend here going to present us with an economic overview and state information? So if that's what you want, that's what I will do. So, I present this in, hopefully a way that we can, understand it very well, and and if whatever you want in there, I appreciate the feedback. So, we're going to go over the economic overview. We're going to go over the May revise a little bit. Although some of the things, because of the timing of the budget, we didn't use May revise COLA, for example. We had already finished the budget by May revise, but we do take May revise into consideration as we revise the budget and move throughout the year. But really, it's the June budget that's that's adopted here by the state. May revise is just a governor's way of saying this is what I want, but they have to go through negotiations with the legislature to really determine what you're actually going to get. So, and there's been a lot of that going on. But I will say that because of our declining enrollment and some things in here we'll talk about, we are going to require a stabilization plan, which means that we're going to have to reduce expenditures. And I think we've been mentioning that as ESSER funds go away, some of these one-time funds go away, our declining enrollment, our funding ADA catches up with our actual ADA. I'll explain that in a minute. We're going to need to reduce some expenditures. But as we present this adopted budget, I'll kind of go through that. The main focus is going to be the general fund tonight, but we do have other funds such as Cielo Vista. That'll be on one of the slides. I won't put too much emphasis on that, but you'll be able to look back on that slide and kind of see where they're at. So besides this presentation, we will post this. We'll post the budget. We'll post the summary and so forth. The board should already have a copy of that summary. And again, you'll be approving this as of the next meeting. We're also going to go over the multi-year projections. And again, these are projections, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit more as we go through. We'll need further collaboration with our educational partners and the school board in order to implement some of these projections, some of these reductions that are in here. So, and spoiler alert, with all that, there will be a positive certification and an expectation to kind of adopt this particular budget. So. All right, moving on. So the state is using an interesting term here called stagflation. So they're using this instead of recession. And it really goes along with a situation in which we have kind of a three-pronged perfect storm, if you will. We have a slow GDP growth, a higher unemployment, and rising costs due to inflation. And all of those are kind of sticking around. As we move through that, kind of the proof of the GDP, if you look all the way to the right there, a strong GDP is between 2 and 3%. As you can see right now, we're looking at least quarter one, about 1.6. So it's a little bit low. It's not not quite there where we would expect a strong economy. The second indicator here is we have some terms here, some more terms called sticky inflation, the CPI, and consumer sentiment. The CPI index is the price of a weighted average market basket of consumer goods and services. Whereas the consumer sentiment, this is one I hadn't actually heard of before, so I wanted to write down the definition, is an economic indicator that measures how optimistic consumers feel about their finances and the state of the economy. And a solid economy, as you can see there, usually is running between 90 and 100. That blue line indicates 67.4, so that is the consumer sentiment index. As you can see from the orange line, that sticky inflation is kind of above the CPI, which means it's, as it says there in the second bullet, it's causing, kind of concerns because it's persistent and it's kind of sticking around. It wasn't expected to be sticking around. So we're not in a situation of recession, but we're still in these, stagflation, sticky inflation, however you want to put it, sort of situation. And again, the CPI is kind of that lower 3.4. And when we get to the last part of this, we have three other indicators, which are unemployment, U.S. unemployment, California unemployment, and then what's called the labor force participation. Again, one I never heard of, but I did write down the definition for you. It's working age people who are employed or actively seeking work. So it's not far off from the normal. I'm at 62.7, as you can see kind of across. It's usually between 63 and 64%.
Can you say that again?
I can say that again. So the labor force participation rate, that on the right side there in the blue line, if you follow that blue line, is the percentage of working age people who are employed or actively seeking work, not far off. So this percentage is actually not far off what the normal would be, but it is slightly lower. So if you look at the California unemployment rate, that's hanging around 5.3%. Where U.S. is 3.9, so California is a little bit higher than that. So all of these are, reasons that we might be into a recession, but again, they're not projecting one for the next year. Part of that is because the stock market's still looking pretty good. So as you can see, it slowly continues to rise, sometimes dips down, but, pretty much continues to rise. The trend is still up. However, these indicators, as a result to the state budget, it still makes it for a pretty risky state budget, and we are very state dependent. So as you can see, we talked about that sticky inflation. We talked about the California unemployment rate. We talked about the slow growth. A couple of things we haven't talked about are still high interest rates hanging around. The feds actually wanted to be able to lower the interest rate by now, but they just haven't been able to because of that sticky inflation, if you will. And then you got the geopolitical factors where you have a couple of wars and a few other political issues going on around the world. So all that creates pretty big risks to a large budget like California's. So as I said, and that creates fluctuations between the January budget from the governor, the May revise, and the June budget. So we have to just take our numbers at some point because, like I said, we have to put this budget together, and it gets all put together prior to the May revise, really. That we have to take a moment in time here, put the budget together, and then if there's any major changes, we can bring it back for a 45-day revise in August. If there's just minor changes, we'll bring it back at the first interim as normal. So this next slide is pretty telling we'll get into our local budget now. So I've been talking for quite a while since I've started here about this phenomenon of ADA, of funded ADA versus actual ADA. And if you look at the green bar, sort of try to ignore the blue one there, but if you look at the green bar, you'll see that the funded ADA continues to get lower and lower. The reason why that is because it was based up until through 24-25, it's going to be based on the 3-year average of the prior 3 years. As we get down to 25-26 and 26-27, you'll see that funded ADA is going to match our actual ADA. So we are going to get paid for the actual ADA that we will have for those years, or to be pretty close anyway. But the 24-25 year, our budget year in which we're talking about, we're still going to be paid for more, a little bit more than what our ADA actually is. But you can see that orange bar going across, our ADA has been pretty low for quite some time. It's slightly increased. You can't really tell there, but that's why I put the numbers there. You can see slight increases in the ADA each year. And as that enrollment goes down, that those slight increases mean for a higher percentage of the enrollment, but that's only because the decline in the enrollment's lowering. The ADA is not necessarily increasing by that much. All right, as we move on through this, these are just the assumptions that were used for this particular budget. You already saw the ADA that we're projecting, and you also saw the funded ADA that we're projecting. The next line there is the projected ADA percentage. So this might be pretty aggressive. I hope it's not, but that's what this budget is based on. We get is to get to 92% this next year, 93%, and then get up to our normal. Actually, I think our norm is more like 95%, but within the next 3 years, decrease this chronic absenteeism, increase our ADA percentage, and get back to our normal percentages. The unduplicated percentage has always pretty much been the same. And as I said before, we use the governor's budget COLA and not the 1.07 COLA for this particular budget just because of a timing issue. As we move to the next slide, this is kind of an interesting slide for local control funding formula. So a lot of people don't know how this works, but basically into the formula goes property taxes, which you can see is not enough. If it was enough, we'd be called a basic aid district, which means all of our property taxes cover all of our expenses, right? So then we go to state aid. Actually, then you would probably go to EPA next, which is that 1 cent sales tax that was voted for several years ago. And then whatever's left over that's needed for this $303 million comes from state aid. And you can see that we are heavily reliant on state aid. Goes into this calculator. From that calculator, in simplistic terms, it spits out the supplemental concentration dollars, the base, and a little bit of add-ons. So Dr. Pfeffer already went over those supplemental concentration dollars. But as you can see on that footnote from on the bottom there, this is $11.2 million. This next year is going to be $11.2 million less than what we had in 23-24. And then it's going to remain about the same, that 304 million in 25-26 as well. So that's 2 years in a row we're basically going to be missing out on $11.2 million. And what that means for the supplemental concentration dollars, that's about a third of our total LCFF. So so we would have had to reduce about a third of our LCAP dollars as well. If we didn't, then we have to contribute to that until we do reduce it down to where it needs to be. All right. A little bit, another kind of graphic here to show you how heavily reliant we are on the state. The blue and the orange bars for combined unrestricted and restricted general fund revenue. You can see that makes up the majority of our revenues. We get a little bit of money. Some people wouldn't say 20.8 million is a little bit, but we get, when compared to the rest of it, a little bit of money from federal and a little bit of money from local. As we move through this, I talked about a stabilization plan. Really, as we go through, in order to make our budget work over the next 3 years, I've been saying all along that we have to decrease probably by about $30 million. I've been saying this probably since second interim, in different formats, saying it looks like about $30 million over a 3-year period. So that doesn't necessarily have to mean all reductions in expenditures, though, because you could have increases in revenue. We could get new housing and improve our enrollment. We could improve our ADA by more than 1% each year, because each percentage is $3.2 million approximately. We could get more grants. You talked about grants, and each time we get those grants, they affect the general fund in a sense that we can move some expenditures to these grants, even albeit for a short period of time, and we may have to bring them back. But at least for a short period of time, we can kind of move the money around and help our general fund as we get through these couple of tough years here. But like Laurel Musa's team also does what's called Medi-Cal billing and mob billing. So her nurses and psychs and everything are basically billing for their services. So besides grants, we also make money for that. So the more money we make in those areas, the more money we can use that may save the general fund particular dollars there. So it's not just about reducing expenditures. It's also about trying to increase that revenue. But when we talk about reducing expenditures, that's where what's called a stabilization plan comes into place. So phase one, we kind of already started this year. Worked really hard in my first year here to really align position control. We have two different systems, one system for HR and one system for business that tracks essentially human resources. That's 87% of our budget, so we have to make sure that those two systems match. And we've worked really hard to do that this year. There was a lot of vacant positions that were in the budget and continue to carry over into budget, basically $3.6 million worth, and besides contracts maybe, but that we were able to delete those positions so they wouldn't continue over into budget. So we really focused on that this year. For the 24-25 budget year, you probably already heard that we reduced departments and site budgets by 10%. We also worked really hard in Cabinet to make sure that we were matching staff allocations with the declining enrollment. We talked a little bit about that earlier this evening, where we're just making sure that our enrollment, we're kind of going back to pre-pandemic times, maybe even a little less than that, because we're in a situation where we don't have the ESSER funds anymore to kind of back it up. So we just have to make sure that we're doing those reductions. Now for 25, 26, and 26, 27, again, these are projections that Cabinet kind of came up with specific areas, because our COE does require this if we're going to pass an adopted budget here and not show that our fund balance is going to basically go down to zero. We need to make sure that we identify some areas that we can reduce, and Cabinet's done a really good job of doing that for 25, 26, about $12 million worth, and 26, 27, $4.5 million. Again, these are projections. These are not set in stone yet, but what I want to stress is the actual dollar amounts, because even when you add these up, it's not quite $30 million, it's $26.5 million. But we're getting there, right? And this will work to get us through, but to continue into the future, you'll still need a little bit more reductions, and I'll show that in a little bit. But we will be engaging our educational partners and the board and making sure that the reductions that Cabinet kind of came up with in order to put this budget together and what our partners come up with are either matching or different. But again, the focus is going to be on how do we cut $12 million in 25, 26? How do we cut an additional 4.5 to 7.5 in 26, 27? So that will be the main focus of these conversations as we move through in order for this multi-year projection to work. So it's really about the funding, not so much about what Cabinet has already selected, because that may or may not come to pass. So any questions on that? All right, so what happens if we don't put that into place? Do we have enough of a fund balance there to cover that? The answer is no. So we're going to end this year pretty strongly, and it might even be stronger than that. We've identified some more ways that we can use some of the ELOP funding to help benefit the general fund and save more into the fund balance here, so we don't have to send back ELOP funding. So that will probably end the year even stronger than this, to be honest, which will help as we move through it. A strong fund balance only delays the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, but it will help for sure. So as we go through this, the expectation right now is we're ending this year at about 17.6. Our reserves, that 3% reserve will be there. The board has already committed $15,782,212 a few years back. And what a commitment means is that is what the board really sets aside, and we've asked you to set that aside for essentially economic stability or deficit spending situations in which we will be in. As tonight, I'm going to ask you to add another $12 million to that, because we are ending strongly. I feel like it is safe for us to be able to add that to the commitment. That gives the board a little bit more control over what comes in and out of this fund balance, because committed money you have to vote on it. The board has to approve anything that goes in and out of the committed money. So I feel like that helps, and that's beyond the 10% requirement that the state, if we fall under certain conditions, that the state allows you to get to be in. So the assignments and unassigned and reserves are all part of that 10%. but commitments are outside of that range. So the board has the authority to be able to do that in order to make sure that we are essentially more stable. So.
I have a quick question. With the stabilization plan, comparing with the no stabilization plan, in this one we use the reserve, and in the stabilization plan we don't use the reserve?
Don't get ahead of me, but yes.
The
next one will be if we do the stabilization plan. But yeah, so
In
I'll
both we use the
cover that in just a second. You're cheating. You're going ahead of me. I'm just That's okay. No problem. There's a few other things I want to point out on this. If we don't, again, this is if no stabilization plan is in place and we just move forward without any of those cuts I just showed on that last slide, including the cuts for 24-25, if we just made that stable. In 24-25, we would still have our reserves. We would have now that committed amount of money that's with that additional $12 million. And by the way, that is a part of our budget. I am asking you to approve that tonight as a part of the adopted budget, and there will be a public hearing on that. So, I'm really hoping that you agree with me that we can do this because the wheels are already kind of in motion on that. So, and then the assignments, as you can see, it goes from about $28 million in assignments. So first we're going to use assignments up in that 24-25 and use Fund 17. By the time we get to 25-26, we would be looking at a 7.1% fund balance. Again, the reserves are still there. No more assignments, no more Fund 17. We're using up, $10 million of the committed. By the time we get to 26-27, again, these are all projections, but if we plug in the numbers as we know them today, this is what we're looking at. And you're correct. We would not even have the 3% reserve left in 26-27. So therefore, the county would not allow us to approve this type of budget, or if they did, then the state would be coming in to essentially take over. And we don't need that because we know we can make these cuts. We know we can be responsible and continue to go through this. So there's no reason to not have a plan to be able to cut. So if we put these cuts into place.
Jeff, can you go back for me real quick?
Do what now?
Can you go back to the other slide?
I can, maybe. There we go. Yes.
So it kind of looks like it's front loaded on 23 and 24, and then you're gonna kind of coast on the back. Is the back end? Is that kind of
a stronger fund balance in 23-24 certainly helps in 26-27. I think is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Certainly. Again, it delays the process, but we might be able to get up to the reserve amount and maybe a little bit of the committed, but that's still not enough of a. Remember, when you have a fund balance, it's kind of like a savings account, and a strong savings account would be, about 17%. I would say it's 2 months worth of cash for a school district. As far as the averages across the state for a unified school district, I have it written down somewhere else, but it's somewhere around 23.5%. So other unified districts are making sure that they are very strong in their fund balances. So you don't want to get to a situation in 26-27 where it's just 3%. You don't want to even have that projected out. And the sooner that you make these cuts, the less you will have to make. So if we make even more cuts in 24-25, that means a cut for so let's just say we cut another $1 million in 24-25. Well, that's really $3 million over that three-year period, because we've cut $1 million out of 24-25, and that same $1 million will be cut in 25-26, and that same $1 million will be cut in 26-27. So the sooner we're able to make those cuts, the better. And that's why Cabinet continues to look at vacant positions and the needs of these positions as we move along throughout the year here, to avoid where we're just talking about positions and not necessarily people within those positions. So that answer your question? Okay. So if we do this based on the numbers we have now, and again, to your point, we're probably going to end a little bit stronger in 23-24. But you can see that by 24-25, we still have the reserves, we still have the commitments. The assignments are going down, and so is Fund 17. Fund 7, and those are to be expected. If you put something in assignments, you're expecting to use it within the next year or two. Fund 17 is kind of the same thing. It's that liquidity fund that we use to help the general fund. 25-26, same thing. It's going down. It's still going down because we're still deficit spending, and I'll show you that here in the next slide. We still have an issue even with the stabilization plan of deficit spending, which means each year we're spending more than what we're making. But you can see 25, 26, we have the 3% reserve. We still have the committed. We still have some assignments and some left in Fund 17. By that 26, 27, when compared to with the other one that we just did, where we didn't have anything in committed, didn't have anything in assignments, didn't have anything in Fund 17, and barely anything in reserves, at least we have 10% here total, with Fund 17, that liquidity kind of being used up and doing its job as it's supposed to. Now, each year that we save a little bit, that helps with that, 26, 27 amount. So, and each year because it goes directly into fund balance and then continues to delay. Now, what I expect after 26, 27 is because we've kind of hit that, I don't know, for lack of a better word, rock bottom where our funded ADA and our ADA actually match. As those go up, then we'll continue to increase our revenue. So 27, 28, with the COLA numbers that we saw earlier, and those will continue to be around, hopefully steady between 2 and 3% as the state's projecting. We're expecting the economy to get better by then. Things will kind of bounce back by then. So, but we're still looking at, I showed you a graph at second interim where we just need to get down to this norm, and then we can begin to increase from there as we have been in the last few years. So it's just a question of getting down to this norm. New norm, I guess I should say. All right, let's talk a little bit about the unrestricted general fund and the multi-year projection. Kind of presented this in two different ways. Some people like tables, some people, which is the next slide, some people like graphs. But here you can see we're deficit spending by about $10 million in 24-25. As we get to 25-26, it looks more like $3 million, which is kind of that additional $3 million that, I've been saying to get us up to, like $30 million. We're still deficit spending by this much, and we still would need to reduce that or save more or increase our revenue, something to make up for that $3 million as we move forward. So this is just a table format of what you just saw. That same 10 million, the same 3 million, the same 2.3. As you can see, the where it says other sources, about 3 lines up from the yellow, it says other sources and transfers in. Those get a little bit lower because that's mainly from Fund 17, transferring into what this is called Fund 03 to make up for the differences here. But it's also transfer from Fund 40 for our routine restricted maintenance funds. The transfer outs would be our property and liability money that we need to put it aside for our insurance, and then also the Teamsters health and welfare pool. So those are money that's going out from this. And then on the unrestricted side, we have what's called contributions, and that's what goes to special education and routine restricted maintenance. So any questions on this? It's kind of presented in a couple different formats. Don't look too depressed. We're going to make it through. It's okay.
Looking at the assign, is that a negative or is that just the number? 8 million? Is that negative?
Sign. That's just a number. Parentheses mean negative.
Okay.
Whereas if it's just like that without parentheses, that just means what's left in assignments at that particular moment in time.
And you just put the yellow kind of to highlight where it's going to end up at.
Yeah, the highlight there is mainly to show you that, as I showed you on another slide, the assignments continue to go down each year. So we would, in order to stop that bleeding, essentially, we got to, put these things into place and make more essential cuts. So. And then we get on to the combined. Now we bring in the restricted funding as well. And I didn't specifically pull out restricted funding, but you'll be able to see it in the next slide. Again, I showed it in graphic format, and I showed it in a table format. So the concern really is the unrestricted general fund. If we can get that stabilized, we'll be all right, because the restricted fund is meant to go down. because we get these one-time grants and that go into fund balance, and you got to spend them over a period of 3 years. Like the Learning Recovery Grant, for example, we don't have to spend that until 27, 28. So we spend a little each year. Well, that was in fund balance. It was in your savings account. You got to bring it into your checking account essentially, and you're spending that amount. So it's expected to go down each year by a little bit. But when you combine it with the unrestricted and restricted together, you'll see that deficit spending is there. But it's mainly about that unrestricted side. And then again, the table kind of shows the legally restricted continues to go down, slowly. And again, we get more revenue in there. It's not all grants and whatnot. We get like Title I, Title II, Title III. We get steady flows of income in there. So it's going to steadily decrease and, kind of stay sort of stable there as well. So because we continue to get revenue. Again, this kind of shows the same sort of pattern of that deficit spending, through 26, 27. Mainly it's about that, unrestricted side. So any questions here? All right, this slide just kind of shows you what we're spending our money on. And that's personnel. I mean, personnel is our most important asset. We continue to spend the most money on personnel. Kind of enough said there. I mean, if we just look at the unrestricted side, it's 87%. When we look at just the restricted side, because there's other things involved with that, like grant-specific areas, it's more like 78%. So still very high percentages. And the restricted side is also where special ed is and our maintenance people and so forth. So that's where all that personnel is as well. All right, so when we do the budget, the adopted budget, we also do estimated actual. So we project how we're going to end this year compared to how we're going to spend this next year. You can see there's quite a bit of difference there between, our revenue from this year and what our revenue is looking like next year. And before you think, oh my goodness, that's not what he just told us, most of that on the left-hand side was from one-time grants that we just continue to get these revenues in and so forth. And so we're just not going to get that revenue in. Therefore, we're not going to have those expenses as well. Most of that left side is from ESSER facilities funds that aren't on the right side. Money that we're finishing up ESSER projects for, that we got ESSER money in, ESSER revenue and ESSER expenses that will no longer be there in 24, 25. So that's why you're seeing that massive reduction there. But in regards to the transfers in, that shows you how much, at least in that first year, we're going to need to transfer in from Fund 17 in order to kind of make the budget, look semi better than where it is. But that's what that Fund 17 is for. And then that ending balance there compared to, that this would be the combined general fund of what I just showed you. It's, we're looking for a reduction next year of about $7 million between the two funds. So I know it wasn't incredibly good news, but I also know this year we're going to end strongly. Next year's just fine. We've already kind of done some good planning. It's really about that 25, 26, and 26, 27 years. We have this entire year to put our great minds together and come up with a plan. This right now is just a budget. Budget is just projections, and it is what I'm going to ask you to approve tonight. But it's not necessarily what the actuals will end up with at the end of the year. We try to get it as close as possible, but in these economic times, it's really impossible to kind of have. It is impossible to have an exact projection, but but to even come close is going to be a little difficult because we're going to be looking to make those savings and whatnot throughout the year. All right, I told you about the budget of other funds. This is just a quick overview of where the other funds are. I'll kind of highlight a few of them. Cielo Vista, they're going to have to make some cuts as well. Their deficit spending, some of that is in their facilities, but a lot of it is in their personnel. So they may have to make a few reductions there too. Otherwise, their multi-year projection wouldn't be looking that great either because they're already looking at about a $1.6 million reduction next year. So we got to work with Cielo Vista, and my team will do that to really pinpoint what they need to do. The cafeteria fund in this district is amazing. Nutrition Services does an amazing job, providing all of our students with the food and whatnot, and even summer programs. And they are not deficit spending. They are on target each year. They spend within their means, and I haven't really seen this in other districts. So that I'm just want to highlight that because it doesn't really happen very often. So I pointed this out the last time. The main facilities funds are Fund 21, Fund 25, and Fund 40. So if you want to look at those tax reports, or even just look at this slide kind of showing where those ending balances are. Fund 21, the building fund, that's bonds. So as you can see, beginning balance 81 million, ending balance 12 million. So we plan on doing a lot of bond spending this next year. Fund 25 is developer fees, and the main thing in Fund 40 is, you've heard this many times, is redevelopment. So that's what kind of comes out of Fund 40. Those two, Fund 25 and Fund 40, they get revenue each year. We continue to get developer fees. We continue to get redevelopment. As you know, Fund 21 will get replenished if we go for and pass the bond for 2024. So, all right, as we look through here, budget cycle and recommendations. So I'm going to ask you to approve on June 25th our estimated actuals and budget.
Question? Question. Did any of the board have any questions about slide or page 27? About the other funds at all?
Go back. That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, what does the other column represent?
Where are we at? Oh, other?
Right in the middle.
So we have the revenues. These are just transfers in and transfers out, like we had talked about with some of the other ones. So as you can see, we talked about Fund 17 a lot. The transfer out of $12 million would be what's going to go into our general fund. That's that liquidity account that helps our general fund. So those are transfers in and transfers out. The parentheses means negative, means transfer out of these funds. And
I got you.
Yeah. So like we talked earlier about Fund 68 and Fund 69, our property and liability funds. We showed a graphic earlier that we were transferring out of the general fund $2.9 million, and this is where it shows up right there in that fund, that last line there. So
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I did. The cafeteria revenue fund. They are having great success. Is it due to grants and is it?
No, they get.
Is there anything we can learn from them to help us?
They're heavily reliant on state funding as well, so they get and federal funding. So just like us, they get a certain amount per meal. They're required to feed every student that comes through the doors. They continue to kind of work outside of the district, and like right now they have 11, I believe it was 11 other accounts, like the Boys and Girls Club and whatnot, that they're serving to over the summer, and a few apartment complexes around where they've gotten with the HOAs to serve. And that brings them in it's also additional expenditures because they're making the food, but that brings them in additional revenues for those particular programs. So they do think a little bit outside the box, but mostly they just stay within their means. The grants come in the form of getting kitchen equipment, so they don't have to use their general fund, their balances for that, and they just use it mainly for the food and for people. So yeah, so they do. So there's a little bit of the grants, there's a little bit of innovation, if you will, but yeah, they're doing a great job.
In regards to that fund, is there a reason to keep their balance at 20 million?
No, in fact, they can't. They've already been notified to get that balance down, so they're going to be buying a lot of kitchen equipment and whatnot. So yeah.
Another question for you. With the adult education, is there a reason why it's 0?
Because we don't have an adult education program in the district, we contribute every bit of revenue we get to, is it Coachella? Or is it Desert Sands?
Coachella.
Coachella? Okay. Sorry, I didn't. What's that? Oh, yes, what she said. It's an MOU agreement with Coachella, in which all the revenue that we get goes straight to them. So we don't save anything for that. So, but we probably, I don't know, just projecting, we'd probably be losing money if we tried to run our own. So no big ideas there. All right. So just the last couple of slides here, the budget cycle, I'm asking you to approve the estimated actuals in the budget this next meeting. You're going to do the public hearings tonight in regards to the fund balance and the budget and the LCAP, and there's something else in there. So, and then we'll get into budget revisions if necessary. If there's going to be major revisions, we'll bring something back in August. Otherwise, we'll see you for as far as the budget and first interim after we do the unaudited actuals and so forth. So this is kind of the budget cycle every single year that we bring to you, and then starts all over again next May. So the recommendation is really to approve this budget, knowing that we will make those reductions, whatever they might be. We've already identified it for the county purposes, but again, as long as we make those reductions that are considered in the stabilization plan, we're going to be just fine. We'll continue to have positive certifications, and that's why I will be asking you to approve this particular budget for June 25th. So. Sorry, did I take a half an hour?
45 minutes.
I said, don't start the clock on that first slide.
Oops.
I was still thanking people. That was 10 minutes right there.
Oops.
Nobody's counting.
Thank you.
Great job.
Mr.
Let's
Irvin, I
give
appreciate that.
Dr. Kovacs, Dr. Dimick, Ms. Ellen Goodman, Dr. Pfeffer, and Jeff Simmons a hand. Great presentations.
This is better than my last district. They used to take over under bets, so it's like it was pretty bad. So.
So as Jeff mentioned, we are moving on to our public hearing part of our board meeting. And the board now opens 11A, the public hearing on the Local Control and Accountability Plan, the LCAP. Have any written comments been received by the district as to the Local Control and Accountability Plan?
No written comments were received.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide oral comments on the public hearing on the LCAP plan? Okay. So with that, seeing no oral comments, I declare this public hearing closed. The next public hearing, 11B, the board now opens the public hearing on the Local Control and Accountability Plan for Cielo Vista Charter School. Have any written comments been received by the district as to the Local Control and Accountability Plan for Cielo Vista Charter?
No written comments were received.
Okay, in the audience, is there anyone present who wishes to provide oral comments on the public hearing on the Local Control Accountability Plan for Cielo Vista Charter?
Do you want me to read this?
Okay, go ahead.
Please come forward at this time, state your name, address your comments to the Board of Education. Are there any board members or district staff who wish to respond?
So seeing no oral comments, I declare this public hearing closed. Next, 11C, the board now opens the public hearing on the PSUSD reserve levels for the 2024-2025 budget adoption. Have any written comments been received by the district as to the PSUSD 2024-25 reserve levels?
No written comments were received.
Okay. Is there anyone present here who wishes to provide oral comments on the PSUSD 2024-25, 2023-24-25 reserve levels? Okay.
Please come forward at this time, state your name and address your comments to the Board of Education. Are there any board members or district staff who wish to respond?
Okay, seeing no oral comments, I declare this public hearing closed. Next, item 11D. The board now opens the public hearing on PSUSD 2024-25 budget adoption and the 2023-24 estimated actuals. Have any written comments been received by the district as to the PSUSD 2024-25 budget and the 2023-24 estimated actuals?
No written comments were received.
Is there anyone present here who wishes to provide oral comments as to the PSUSD 2024-25 budget and the 2023-24 estimated actuals?
Please come forward at this time, state your name, address your comments to the Board of Education. Are there any board members or district staff who wish to respond?
Okay, seeing no oral comments, I declare this public meeting closed. So next, we'll go to board member comments. Should we start with anyone who wants to volunteer? Board member, Ms. Berriqueta.
Yeah, I had a short comments and good afternoon. And first, I want to thank the whole public that made or share their concerns in the public comments. In general, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate to all the high school graduates from class of 2024. Also, I want to congratulate all the students who were promoted to their next academic stage from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school. And in general, the whole student, even moving from grade to grade and continue the path to graduate from high school. But I want to recognize that all the joint effort at the staff and East School side, parents, community members, administrators, because all together supporting the student at the Palm Springs School District, they give more opportunities to the student to have a better future and better life. Thank you, everyone.
Just real quick, I'll echo what my colleague said. Congratulations to all the students that had a successful year this year. Thanks to all the staff members who had a great year, and I wish you all a very restful and peaceful summer. And that's it. Thank you all very much.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I want to thank the public that came in and talked about the security officer at Raymond Cree Elementary. It was really heartwarming. This gentleman's really had a positive impact on that school, and I appreciate hearing those comments from those community members.
So as well, the same thing as the board member said, I want to say that it takes a lot for those parents and for the school, the employees and different things like that to come to something like this and speak. So Mr. Staggs, he's doing a wonderful job wherever he is. You're doing a wonderful job. The kids are impacted by you as well as the staff, and just great job for you. And then I also want to talk about the graduations as well. We went to all the graduations. Unfortunately, I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about, once before I talked about the graduations for the 8th graders, as well as for our 5th graders going to 6th grade. It seems like the district is kind of taking the model of just allowing it to be separate and allowing the principals to choose. I would really urge the principals to consider having these graduations be a little bit more traditional. Went to Cielo Vista, and at the Cielo Vista, it was so many people there that they had to put it at the Richard Center. The parents came out, the students actually ran kind of like the graduation. So they had the graduation students give presentations and give out awards. It was really great to see the families come out and see the children to be involved and how excited everyone was. I would, urge our principals, please consider bringing these actual traditional graduations back to our middle school as well as our elementary, because they're very needed, and sometimes our students may not graduate from that next level. And next, I want to speak about Juneteenth as well. Juneteenth is a holiday, a federal holiday for African Americans in Galveston, Texas in 1865, 2 years after the emancipation. The African Americans were freed, and there's some events that will be going on for this holiday this weekend, I think on Saturday. Let me see. There will be a Juneteenth celebration, Freedom Day, at 5 p.m. at the James O. Jesse Desert Highland Center. There will be free camel rides for the kids, as well as free food, live entertainment, spoken word. And this address is 480 West Tramview Road in Palm Springs, and that is Saturday at 5 p.m. On Friday, there will be a Kings and Queen pageant at the James O. Jesse Center as well. If you have any questions or anything, reach out. The phone number is 760-323-8271, and that concludes my comments.
Just briefly to add to what people have said, it was nice to see people come out and for their public comments about Mr. Stagg. Obviously, he's made a huge difference at that school. Want to wish everyone a happy and restful summer. Thanks to our staff for a successful school year, also to the parents and our community members. Congratulations to our 2024 graduates, and that's it.
Okay, so it's the little things that count, and the little things are that DLA graduated about 45 kids. Desert Hot Springs High School, about 340. Palm Springs High School, about 320. Cathedral City High School, 330. Rancho Mirage High School, approximately 350. Altogether, 1,607 graduates or more. And we are so happy for them, and we are hoping that they do well in their futures. I just want to say that the little things that count include those ceremonies, the celebrations, the commencements, the graduations, promotions, moving on ups, the parking, the security, student volunteers behind the scenes, support, local nurseries, garden centers, interpreters, American Sign Language interpreters, the show, fire departments, AMR, paramedics, police, Riverside County sheriffs, mayors, council members, city personnel, managers, staff, teachers, counselors, parent liaisons, ASB advisors, and members, and administrators, principals, and assistant principals. Without, I think one of you said, without the team, this just doesn't come to life. And those, all the people that help us, including Angela and Claudia and Angelica, Claudia and our interpreters here tonight, having to do the all of the small details of all these important presentations. We are grateful, so thank you. All right, is that right? And then, of course, we thank our ETIS team, our technical team, Will, and everyone else that brings us tonight together. I also want to congratulate our Alder teacher residency teachers. They graduated officially, I think was in Irvine. I didn't get to go, but 18, I believe, graduated. 21 started, and it's so great that this residency program is come to our district. I look on the website, and we're just one of 4 or 5 in the county, San Bernardino and Riverside, and we're bringing it back next year. And congratulations to those candidates and their mentors and Mr. Joe Boffa, or excuse me, Alexis, and then Alexis Ackert, and then Joe Boffa for the induction residents as well. So with that, I will conclude my comments and go ahead and pass it on to you.
Thank you, President Terrell. Like the board mentioned, I also want to congratulate all our graduates. Joan Boyko has put together a wonderful piece to go in the Desert Sun to congratulate all and recognize all of our graduates. I looked at that today, and she did a remarkable job, so can't wait till that gets published. Wonderful, wonderful recognition of our graduates. But like the board, I think it was Mr. Espediscueta said, just congratulations all to the staff and administrators. It takes a lot of work to put a ceremony like that together. I know we, along with the board and our cabinet, lot of shaking hands and a lot of time on our end as well. But the time and effort that the staff and administrators put into getting that planned is truly remarkable. So just want to congratulate all of them. The ceremonies were great. Also want to recognize all our reports this evening, Dr. Dimick as well, Ms. Goodman, Dr. Pfeffer, Mr. Simmons. Just very, very proud of our team. I think that's real evidence of how we constantly are turning the dial, moving things forward. You heard me say that before, and I'll continue to say it. But it really is remarkable. In particular on the budget, I know there's many difficult decisions that are going to have to be made with some very difficult times coming up. And we're going to, obviously, as we continue to move forward in that aspect, and coming with recommendations and input from the board as we go along our way. It's important to note that when I talk about how important this team is and the work that they have done, I have to put that in perspective of what many of our colleagues across the state have faced. And what I mean by that is I know that this is going to be tough times for us, difficult decisions that come with emotional decisions. However, the situation that many of our colleagues have been, that are having to make some very, very drastic decisions today, is, again, a real tribute to our board, to all of our team, that we're not there yet. But we do have to continue to make some tough decisions as we move along the way. But we're going to do that collaboratively. We're going to do it transparently, and we're going to do it in, of course, as we always know, in best decision for our students. And as the board said, has also given us direction, starting as far away from the classroom as possible. So we'll be continuously working on that. We have been working on it, and I just wanted to highlight that important aspect. With that said, I also want to thank the parents, staff, students of Raymond Cree that came on behalf of Mr. Stagg. I was principal many moons ago at Raymond Cree, and Mr. Stagg was there, and I validate everything they say on how wonderful he has been to the staff. Understandably, though, reassignments coming with having to fill positions is never an easy decision, and I know that our security department does not take those decisions lightly. So nonetheless, the input will be listened to, and they'll collaborate security with HR. But again, I want to thank those parents, families, really appreciate that input. So that's it. Wrap it up. Thank you. And one last thing. Sorry. We will work on the glare. I recognize, we'll get that. I do appreciate Will Carr trying to get out the duct tape and getting that. That was great, impromptu, but we'll work on controlling. My eyes have adjusted through since the sun has gone down, but I understand the impact, so we'll work on that. Correct. Understood. Yeah.
And you can't even see the person giving
I know.
the presentation at all.
On more than one occasion, I was hiding behind Dr. Kovac so I could actually see and not get a headache. So, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. But understood, and we'll work on that for our next board meeting.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue on to our board action items. Number 14. 14A, the approval of consolidated application and reporting system, CARS, for 2024-25 OE10. Can I get a motion to approve item 14A?
Move for approval?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion approved, passed. Next, 14B, the approval of new board policy, BP 5141.6A, School Health Services, OE 10.
I'll move it.
Can I get a motion to approve? Is that a move? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Was there any questions or discussion on that at all? Okay. Next, 14C, approval of the arts and music in schools, Prop 28, annual report, OE 14-10. Can I get a motion to approve 14C?
Move.
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next, the approval of a declaration for need for fully qualified educators for 2024-25 school year OE 4.12. Can I get a motion to approve item 14D?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, next, the approval of certificated and classified employee salary schedules, 14E, OE-5. Can I get a motion to approve 14E?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain on that one. Okay. Okay, thank you. Next, 14F. Adoption of resolution number 2023-2024-43, approval to provide a temporary loan to the general fund from capital funds for fiscal year 2024-25 OE-5. Can I get a motion to approve 14F?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next, adoption of resolution 2023-2024-44, approval to provide a temporary loan to the Child Development Fund from the General Fund for fiscal year 2024-25 OE-5. Can I get a motion to approve 14G?
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next, 14H, the adoption of Resolution 2023-2024-45 of the Board of Education of Palm Springs Unified School District, acting as a legislative body of the Community Facilities District Number 1 of the Palm Springs Unified School District, authorizing the annual levy of special taxes for fiscal year 2024-25, OE-6. Can I get a motion to approve 14H?
I'll move it.
A second?
Second.
Oh,
Second.
okay, thank you. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. Number 14I, the adoption of Resolution 2023-24-46, approving the commitment of funds in the general fund ending balance, OE-5. Can I get a motion to approve 14I?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. 14J, the approval of amendment number 2 to contract 0004034 with PBK Architects Incorporated for the Landau Elementary School Modernization Project, OE 6.3. Can I get a motion to approve 14J?
Move for approval.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next, item 14K, the approval of amendment number 2 to contract C0004035 with PBK Architects Incorporated for the Sunny Sands Elementary School Modernization Project, OE 6.3. Can I get a motion to approve 14K?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next, we look to vote in one vote 14L, 14M, 14N, O, P, Q, and R. So 14L through R, the approval of expulsion cases 2023-24-032, 23-24-034, 2023-2024-035, 2023-24-036, 2023-24-037, 2023-24-040, and 2023-24-041. So, recommendations and finding of fact and conclusion of law, OE-11. Would anyone like to pull an item for discussion or review? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve items 14L through 14R?
I'll move it.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, next, we're looking at one vote on the superintendent's consent items for items 15A through 15L, okay? So that would be A, approval acceptance of gifts, B, approval of purchase order report, C, approval of agreements under $10,000, D, approval of memorandum of understanding, E, approval of agreements $10,000 or more, F, approval of bid number 1024, the CVC restroom and shade structure, G, approval to renew RFP number NS 2402 for the 2024 school year dairy products, approval, this is H, approval to award RFP number NS 2502 for the 2024 school year farm to school OE 6.3. 15I, the approval to a file notice of completion with R Dependable Construction for office additions at the District Administration Center. And J, approval of estimated costs of an issuance of sale of Palm Springs Unified District General Obligation Bonds, 2016 election, Series B, Resolution 2023-2431. K, approval of new job description, early childhood education teacher, center base. And L, approval of certificated and classified employee transactions, OE 4.4. So those would be superintendent consent items 15A through 15L. Would anyone like to pull an item for discussion or review?
I don't necessarily want to pull it. I was just curious, with this memorandum of understanding with the Foundation for California Community Colleges, it's for uploading student education records. What exactly does that entail? I'm sorry? Is this for, one of the things I know for community colleges that's difficult is tracking student success after they leave. Does this play into that tracking system at all?
This is actually a platform for the students to monitor their own progress towards A through G.
Okay.
And it's a 612 platform. So students in middle school begin and start their platform or their portfolio, and it stays with them through the duration of middle and high school.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Worthy to note, it's a statewide initiative, and the county office of, Riverside County Office of Ed has endorsed this. And so as a county, we're all in this partnership.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we can go back to the acceptance of gifts. Is there any discussion, or did you want to read that out? Any board members, and thank our contributors?
Well, there's a number of them. So you want to thank For the acceptance of gifts, let's thank the City of Desert Hot Springs, the Desert Hot Springs High School USB, Honda of the Desert, the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians, Silver Rock Resort, Richard and Linda Riccio, Schools First Credit Union, and Jessica Aguimama.
So is there anything else that you would like to discuss or pull for any of these items? No? Okay. So we'll need get a motion to approve consent items 15A through 15L.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. Thank you. Next, we'll go on to board consent item approval of meeting minutes for May 28th, 2020-24. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any suggestions for future agendas?
No suggestion, just kind of a comment. So I just want to say, looking over the items with the farm to school that we discussed a little earlier with the up to $750 spending for ANZA Farm, it looks like the district is committed to agriculture. After also requesting the spending $442,000 to the same company for our summer school extended learning water fund day also. So that looks like that's about $1 million, over $1 million of spending with this company. I just want to know, are we considering this agriculture as a CTE pathway to support our students? Agriculture seems like it's important to our district, not only for health, but seems like a lucrative career in the Coachella Valley. So I'm just interested to know if we'll take into consideration, considering that we're spending quite a bit having our students to go to this agriculture facility.
So before they might answer in CTE, I just want to correct one thing you said. The $750,000 is spread over, well, first it's a not to exceed amount, but it's spread over 4 different farms. If you look through this, it's a Z's, Fresh Point, Sunrise, and Cisco, all were a part of this bid, and it's whatever fresh fruit, and each particular fruit was bidded out, so you can see the different colors of who had the lowest prices and who will be purchasing from for those. So we don't just use that one company for dairy or for farm to school. So.
And our summer school?
Well, that's a separate thing through ELOP or a particular educational trip or whatever they've planned. So that's got nothing to do with nutrition services. I just wanted to point this part out.
And we've compiled the details about the expenditures for that company, so you'll have it. We already have it ready. It's for the Friday.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, Board Member Irvin, we can definitely look at the CTE considerations for that, so thank you.
And maybe, Tony, remember, like maybe a year ago, the university, the Riverside, the agricultural and natural resources, they were interested to be partners from the school district. Maybe we can work together with them to make some idea possible about this.
Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank our staff for all of the meetings so far this school year. I know it ends for some people and then it just continues through the summer, for all the great events and for all the tender loving care you've given us and our student board members, our guests, our visitors, our awardees, and our children. That's what we are here for. So thank you again, everyone that sits up here. And we agreed to put first our children. Thank you, board members, tonight and all through the year. With that, I would like to call this meeting to adjournment. Can I get I'm sorry, setting of the next
Around
meeting?
18.
Oh, 18, yes. Setting of the next board meeting. June 24th, 2024 is our board retreat. The regular meeting is June 25th, 6 o'clock p.m. And then, is there a debrief? Would you want to say anything else?
I just have one question. Are we giving out the sites for the summer feeding program except through Parent Connect? I mean, because Parent, what is it?
Parent View.
Parent Square.
Parent Square.
I was like, Parent
Thank you.
something. Because I couldn't get on to see, somebody asked me where the feeding sites are, and I couldn't tell them from what's on the, actually the flyer.
Yeah, I'll have to get the specifics for you and get that out to, but it's definitely at the sites that we already have summer programs like the ELAP program going on, which is our middle schools. Yeah, so that's where they can go but I believe there's also a few elementary schools. I'll have to get that out. We can put it on through Parent Square. I know we've already been getting quite a bit of parents and students there, and it's for any kids that are under 18. Can come. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be a part of our district either. They can come and enjoy the meal. So,
I guess my question is, how would community members know where to go? I mean, the flyer doesn't say where to go, so I was just like, where do you go?
okay. I wish I had better information for you. Parent Square is certainly one of the ways we advertise, and I know she's working with, like I said, I think 11 different other organizations, like the Boys and Girls Club. So they're also advertising on their own to come to their locations. But I'll get more information, and we'll figure out how we are advertising to the community.
Because it is, anybody who has a child 18 and younger.
That's correct.
Come to these sites.
Yes, that's correct. And I know we've advertised it out. It's just, like you said, how have we done it? So.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for staying so late.